Without my bones, I'd be nothing but a heap of meat on the floor, and so would you. But bones are more than just the framework that keeps us upright. Bones are miraculous things in themselves. They're really like fiberglass. You see, fiberglass is literally fibers of glass that are spun very thin to make them springy, and they're embedded in a hard cement of plastic. And that combination of hard cement and springy fibers makes fiberglass tough and non-brittle. And bone is the same. It's got fibers of protein stuck in a cement of hard minerals, and that's rather like fiberglass. You can separate the two. Do this at the next barbecue you go to. Take a bone, like a chopped bone, and put it in the fire, and when it's all cool, take it out. It will still look like a bone, it'll still be as hard, but all the protein fibers are gone, so it's extremely brittle. It'll snap in your fingers, just like that. All the protein springiness has gone from it. And by the same token, you can take those minerals out and just leave the protein by taking a bone. This is a chicken bone. I ate it about a month ago and then popped the bone into vinegar, and all the minerals have dissolved, leaving a bone that's essentially a rubber bone. If you do that, you might even be able to tie it in a knot, like this one. So the combination of those hard minerals and the springy fibers make bone very, very springy and tough. But it's not just that makes bone so tough, it's the way it's built. See, that's the leg bone of a bull, and a bull is very heavy and very powerful, so it needs extremely strong bones, especially in the legs. That's where this one's from. You see the construction, great knobs of bone at the end and a tubular shaft in the middle. And see how thick those walls are. Very, very strong. But bulls don't often fly. Pelicans do. So they couldn't get off the ground with bones like that. They modify them. And here we are, there's the leg bone of a pelican. Cut it open, and you can see that once again it's tubular, just like that, but the walls are very thin. Makes them a lot lighter, but they have to be strengthened by cross-bracing of bone that you can see down the shaft there. And even the bull has that at the points where it matters most, up at the end where there's a joint. You look at all the scaffolding of bone that you've got there. Very beautiful indeed. Well, bones, I suppose, could be strong if they were solid, but they'd be far too heavy and they'd use too much material. So they have to get their strength from their tubular arrangement. And tubes are very important. Come with me. First of all, if you look down that leg bone, you can see that it really is a tube. You can see all the way down there, it's really just like a telescope. You can see my fingers through there, a tube of bone. Let's see what tubes do. First of all, cut a straw into two and flatten one end out. You can see that that strip of paper is extremely weak. It doesn't do much at all. The same paper, kept as a tube, the other end of the straw, is very strong. It's like a stick. So that tubular arrangement is obviously strong. And again, if we go to, say, a sheet of bone, we'll do it with paper, but it's the same thing. A sheet of paper or bone doesn't bear any weight. Curl it into a tube, and it does a lot better. The same amount of paper can carry almost 100 grams, or just 100 grams, but no more. 200 makes it collapse. Well, let's try making the walls thicker like the bones of the bull. Those are 4 tubes of paper. Squash them all together. So that's a bone with 4 times the thickness in the walls. It can carry the 200, but I think 500 is going to test it severely. And indeed it can just do that, but a kilogram knocks it through the floor. Well, let's try something different. Let's use the same amount of paper, but instead of making the walls 4 times thicker, let's use the paper in lots and lots of tiny tubes, like that. There we are, no more paper, differently arranged. That's unbelievably strong. It can not only support the kilogram, it can take another ½ kilogram, and we could stack it up for quite a distance. So that's the secret. Put the bone in lots and lots of tiny tubes, not down inside the shaft there, but in the bony arrangement itself. Microscopic tubes. And if you could see inside that, each tube would look like this. Rings of bone, or tubes of bone, and right down the middle run the blood vessels that supply the bone with food. They're all packed together by the million like this. And that makes the bone colossally strong. And that's what you have inside the walls of your bone running down here. So bone's not only nature's fiberglass, it's superbly engineered.